everybody calls me Steve. I don't know. I've always been called. Everybody calls me Steve.
It's not the name of you, but I got
yeah, Stuart Jones. Yeah, Stuart Jones. Damien, what? Where are you up to? What have you done before? Where are you?
Been doing track years for maybe 3 years, I think.
Yeah, brilliant.
Tried to do 5 or 6 a year.
Brilliant.
Third time here.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah.
Third time here. Second time on this one. This course.
Yeah.
First time was just coastal.
Yeah. So I say helmets just wants to do nothing.
Oh, I've got to take it off. God.
Yeah.
Boiling.
Yeah, yeah. Right.
But yeah, had this about 6 months, something like that. Done 3. This is my 3rd or 4th proper track day in it.
And they're a great car. Absolutely superb car. Great track day car as well. I think you don't see more of these out on track.
No, I know.
Okay, right, so that's brilliant. So what I'll do is I'll cover a couple of points just to make sure we don't miss anything. All right.
Okay.
So it's quite an old school circuit, this. It's very much a driver's circuit, and it really pays to be a little bit more classical with your approach. It was designed by a guy called Richard Peacock, who ex-Aurora Formula 1. And he had a white piece of paper.
Right.
So he was able to late apexes, blind exits,
yes,
which you notice around here a lot.
Yeah.
So you get payback by going in a little bit slower, controlling your entry speed, but getting good exit speeds.
Yes.
Really makes a massive difference.
Okay.
Also, which I'll just demonstrate to you in a moment, you're looking to square the corners off a little bit more because it's a very abrasive circuit. So what happens is if you enter the corner too early, sort of like this, for example, if you enter too early,
yep,
you run into three problems, Damien. First, easy to run out of road on the exit.
Yes.
And you can see the soil erosion sometimes on the exits where people have run out of road. That's through turning in too early. Significantly delays you getting on the throttle, which kills you then down the straight.
Indeed.
And also the car is sat in the corner a lot longer, so you've got a lateral force pushing through all the way through, which is one, making you work harder, making the car work harder, but it's definitely making the tyres work a lot harder as well.
Makes sense.
So you're then starting to control tyre temperatures, especially on
okay, that makes sense. Yes.
By just having that little bit of like patience and going in slightly slower on the entry, you get a safer exit. You're more likely to start to squeeze the throttle on sooner. Plus the car is not sat in an inefficient state. It sort of wants to get in, get rotated,
get turned and on
and get gone.
Okay.
But it does mean that this initial entry is slightly faster, but of course you then lose it on the exit. But by driving by what you can't see and dealing with, by sort of thinking about that as being the most important bit, what it does, it enables you to invest into the corner, compromise the entry on the way in a little bit, but then get the exit. So of course there's a balance about how much you compromise on the way in, but never at the cost of your exit.
Gotcha.
Okay, so you increase this to the point where you've got a really good exit, but if you find though you're getting in here so fast and this is a mess, then you're losing a load of time at that point.
Okay.
Same with the hairpin, slightly over exaggerated. And notice this is, I'm looking at a racing line, I'm not looking at a racecraft or defensive driving. No. I'm looking at what's the quickest way. So by making the corner more of a V,
get a car turned,
then get the rotation in.
Yep.
This driver starts to pick the throttle up here. Yep. This driver picks the throttle up, hopefully, here.
Yeah.
So you get payback down the straight. But it's just having the...
I noticed that earlier, to be fair.
It's a little bit of patience by just going in that little bit slower to come out faster. And when you start getting a bit of experience and you're driving, doing a lot like you are, then it's dead easy sometimes to start to try carry too much entry speed.
Understood.
And cost that, so you've got to just rake it back a little bit. So have a look at that. It's all about the acceleration. There's only one corner really where, or maybe two corners where the braking's quite critical, which is going into Rocket, which is the blind left-hander. Obviously you've only got a little straight after that, so braking is critical there. And into the hairpin, because you've got to wait to get on the throttle to get the rotation in. A little bit of braking there, but rest of the corners, really your braking point's not critical, it's more about the acceleration point. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Brilliant.
Okay.
I'll which one to you where we're out there, but what you can't hear, don't worry, we can download when we come back in. Cool. Right, you're fastened up with your bash. Yeah, oh good to go. Brilliant. Quite a busy track today, isn't it?
Very busy track, yeah, indeed. When we were last here in, I think it was November, it was really dead, it was great.
Yeah. Afterwards, it's a little polite word to say that's a blend line.
Gonna build it up a little bit slowly.
So it's the first marker. It's all the road on the exit. Sometimes into that corner there as well, no, you're just getting up to speed, just a little bit of a trail brake into the corner just loads the front of the car up, gets that rotation in. Into the apex. White line where the yellow is to roll in, look for your first marker. Add first camber on the way in, so just watch your exit. Oh, you're going to be good.
Oh shit, I've gone on the wrong side. Sorry. Sorry about that.
It'll be fine. You've got what I call capacity, in so much that you're aware of what's going on around you. there, handled really well, but just held onto the steering a bit too much on the exit. So I could see the exit curve coming up, and you were just sort of holding on. So remember to roll that steering on, handle it well, but of course that costs you time then. Just make sure you see me, yeah. Tyres ready for going, you can see it. Focus on the exit curve. Really good, really good. And I mean, you're really good. But I'm teaching you now as far as like race driving. I was like out there with your GT cars. You've got a slight stall in the corner sometimes when you're getting off the brake and you're having to wait for the car to hook up. Right. Okay. So really, I want you sort of like leading the brakes in and getting scrubbed off enough speed so that as you bleed the brakes off, you're then feeding into the power. Whereas sometimes you're having to sort of wait a little bit and then squeeze into the power. So that was really good. So like there, do you see how you came off the brake and you sort of jumped off the brake?
Yeah.
And what that does, it unloads the car. So slowing, feed it into the corner. Roll the steering out on the exit.
Do there like that?
No, you did right then. He was still on the blend line. Yeah, you did. You couldn't have dropped in behind him.
No.
You did all right. Yeah.
Okay.
And you did right. You read the situation whereby he was still on the blend line, and then you stayed behind this guy here. So you were showing patience, showing consideration.
It knocks me down straight.
Which is what this guy's doing. I would say you're slightly early for that corner, slightly touch too early for that corner. compromised your entry because you've gone in slightly tight. So there was tarmac on the left-hand side that we didn't use.
Oh, okay, so more.
Yeah, so make sure you use them all on the way in. If you're not using it, somebody else is. And what you've got to be careful of is, because you're such a natural driver and you've got good ability, I don't often say that, you've got to be careful that you don't either overdrive or don't use all the tools that you've got available to you. Right about the middle of the track. So again, you just jumped off the brakes a little bit too much.
Okay.
Feed it in, feed it out. So you're hooking the front of the car up. So when you're going in and you're having to wait for that understeer, you've just gone in slightly too fast. The car's then sat up on its paws and it's not loading.
Yeah.
So you're having to wait for the car.
Right.
Trailing, and then even if it's just a slight introduction of throttle, what it does is loads the back of the car up. The tyres are always going to grip better when they're loaded, when you put weight onto them. Just make sure you're safe, yeah. Braking.
Right out here.
Right out here, yeah, and then roll it in. That's it. And try and sort of try and like introduce the car to the corner on the brakes.
Okay.
Roll the steering out as soon as you can. Just before the kick, so blend it in, roll it out, just accelerate. Sometimes just before the kink, it's worked a slight lift and then in, not lift in the middle of the kink obviously, but like there what happened was you came round and you had to get on the brakes where you still had steering lock on, so that's why you got that little bit of a wobble on the way in. So sometimes a little bit of a lift beforehand will settle the car down so you get a lot neater, more accurate brake into the car. So with you, it's about thinking more about what you're doing. So that was a lot better into there. Because otherwise you'll just start to lose the front of the car because it's understeering.
Yeah, I have a feeling they understeer.
So you're feeding the brakes off into the corner, letting it just it's almost like it's still pushing slightly, but pushing on the limit with a little bit of loading on the brake pedal. Think, what do I need to do to be able to pick the throttle up sooner and to be able to slow the exit of the car up? Middle of the track, and then trail braking, just hold it into the corner, hit the brakes.
Too hot.
That's it, just a little bit. But it's good because you've got really good sensitivity braking. What we'll do, just back it off a little bit for me and we'll go into pit lane rather than you battling through this lot, and then I'll go through some stuff with you. You're good, you're good.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
go through it when we get in. Yeah, definitely.
I feel like
so you enjoy your driving?
I feel like I'm scrubbing the front almost. I can feel just scrubbing across the surface and not keying in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoy driving. I enjoy the mechanics of it.
Yeah. No, it's really, really good that. Yeah. You know, do a bit of sprinting, do a bit of, you know, your Javelin do like a sprint series.
Oh, I don't know about that.
You can rock up. You can rock up in one of these. You don't need a race license or anything. You know, you'd be really good at it because you've got really good technique. You know, just need a bit of patience. I don't mean with other cars. I mean with how you.
Should I have gone down there? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go wherever you.
Right.
No, go wherever you are.
We're not far down, to be fair. Gosh, it's hot.
Yeah, it's good though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's fantastic. Absolutely love it. Come on, mate. We'll see my pal and tell him what was coming off his tyre.
Yeah, it's just peeling off a lot, wasn't it? So, really good run that. But you have what I call a stall sometimes mid-corner, and that's when you're not doing anything.
Okay, yeah.
You're just waiting. Waiting for the car. And the problem is that with a car, you know, with the way you drive it, is once the car's up on its paws like this and it's not doing anything, it's easy to slide around. But if it's loaded at the back and it's accelerating, then it's harder to push. So if you still, even if you might still have a lateral force putting through, if you're starting to pick the throttle up, the back tyres are squished down and you're loading it in. Same obviously into the corner, that when you're going into a corner, the front tyres are loaded. Whereas sometimes you just have this period whereby you're accelerating and then you brake into the corner, which is great, and then you sort of come off the brakes and then the car just floats and you're like zzz,
yeah,
and then you get gone.
Yeah.
So if I was looking at, you know, if we had you in a big race GT car with steering angle and everything, I'd be looking at your data going, right, you've got too much steering angle on at that point and you ain't doing anything. The car's just sat there waiting for you to give it an instruction what to do. You're so much better than that. Do you know what I mean? You're so much better than a driver that's just got to wait. You can feel the sensitivity of the car. So you really want to take out these stalls, these gaps where you're not doing anything. So sometimes it might be a case of you brake and going a couple of miles an hour slower to get the rotation in, but then you'll find that rather than the car sat there and you're just waiting for the understeer, you can pick the throttle up sooner and use that bit of time that you've been wasting to get on the throttle sooner to find a greater terminal speed down the straight. So as it is at the moment, you go in, it feels fast because you're going in and the car's going, oh, I can't do anymore. But from a racing point of view, from a timing point of view, you've got to be doing something.
Gotcha.
And it's just like, you can feel it.
Better to brake a little bit earlier, carry a little less speed, but get on the throttle earlier.
Get on the throttle
and out the
a little
corner
bit
quicker.
Yeah. Try and take those mid-corner stalls through.
Yeah.
So if we look at, try and illustrate that. So Lucy Hodson, for instance, that I'm coaching in one of the people that I'm coaching in British GT, in the GTA class. If we look at around Donington and you look at my data compared to hers, I'll be 3.5 seconds a lap faster than around Donington, and you think, oh man, must be a massive difference. But when you look at the data, we brake in round about the same place. It's just that I trail my brake off better, and then as I get the car rotated, I pick the throttle up sooner than her.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay.
So all my time comes from like being on the throttle, being on the throttle, being on the throttle. I get on the throttle sooner and I get to stay on it a little bit longer. And then now the only time that you do need to really concentrate on how late you brake is if you're in what we call a brake corner or a B corner, and that's defined by what comes after the corner. So if you've got a big long straight after the corner, particularly if it's uphill, I'm not bothered about where you brake, relatively speaking.
Yeah.
But I'm really critical about where you get on the throttle.
Yeah.
Now, if you come up to, say, the top of Rocket here, and you've just got a slight left hand, you've got a sharp left hander with a little tiny straight after it, well, you're not going to gain any time by getting on the throttle early there, but you will gain time on being a bit later on the brake.
Yes.
So that is a brake corner. That's all about how late you can brake.
Yeah.
But then you look at another corner, you think, right, straight after it, that's about acceleration. And what that does then, it makes you sort of think, right, that's an A corner, acceleration corner, that's a B corner, that's a brake corner. And you'll tend to find on any one circuit there may be 1 or 2 or maybe 3 corners where braking late is absolutely critical. All the rest, it's about when you get on the throttle.
Yeah, okay.
And that way then your brakes get a chance to recover, and also your front tyre temperatures get a chance to recover.
Yes.
So I would split you with the level that you're at. I would split your corners into A corners and B corners, and I would try and get to the point where I'm not carrying as much understeer. Ideally, you want to get to the point is as you're bleeding off the brakes, it's just wanting to push a little bit at the front, so you're just feeling it, but you're controlling it by loading on the brakes. So you've got a little bit, which means you're on your absolute limit on your turning, and then you accelerate out. Now, if it was wet or greasy, then a bit of understeer is good, because an understeering car can't oversteer, so that helps you. But in the dry, you're losing that bit of time to the level that you drive at.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Makes sense.
But yeah,
That's great.
I'll just show you this as well, and then we're all done, honestly. But you're a good driver, so it's nice to spend a bit of time with somebody. So I don't know, we'll just random circuits. So we'll look at Alton Park, for instance. Yeah. So you see, as you come down over Hilltop, down into Hislop's, Knickerbrook chicane, because you've got this little twiddly bit where you can't get on the power properly. Obviously you can, but not significantly. So this then becomes a B corner, a brake corner. That's where I've blasted late brake. It's chuck it in, sort it out. But if we say look at Cascades here, this left-hander, where you brake here is not critical, but where you pick the power up really is critical. So then you would bleed the brakes off and then be looking to squeeze the throttle on as soon as you can, because then you're going to get payback all the way up here. So you start to sort of split your corners up, and that's really where you're at now. You're thinking you've got the skills, you've got the ability to do it, you've got the bottle to do it. So all you need to do is just think a little bit harder with your driving, just to sort of go, that's a bit of wasted time. So that makes
that's great.
Great.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I appreciate you listening to it, because
well, thank you.
It just makes all the difference with you. Yeah, brilliant. Well
really
done.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, good stuff.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure.